Radical Cup drivers coming down pit road right now as they get ready to go racing here at Barber Motorsports Park. And for that, we turn it over to Radical Cup North America's announcer, Tim Drewer.
Well, thank you again for having me here. It's great to be in the sunshine in Alabama and at the famous Barber Motorsports Park. It's time for race one. And a little bit earlier, we caught up with one of the drivers, Matt Roma, who races with his father in Radical Racing. Like many drivers on the grid over the years, father and sons, brothers and sisters racing alongside each other and having fun. We caught up with Matt earlier today.
Obviously, I grew up watching my dad racing go-karts, and then I got in go-karts, and he started racing cars, and he was running SCCA for a long time, and I was lucky enough to get an SCCA a couple of years ago running the FE cars, and then last year I was fortunate enough to jump in a P1 car, and it turned out to be a pretty good success. Started off slow again, and by the end I became national champion and won the runoffs. Running with my dad, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, be able to run side by side with him. He's huge competition himself. He's not going to give me an inch, but it's a lot of fun, and still to be out here running with him. We're in different classes, but we're still battling, so it's fun.
All right, there was Matt Roma, and we are commencing our second pace lap in a moment. So we'll take you through the grid for the first race. And off the back, it's Dermot Ennis. Bobby Thompson won't be starting this one, and nor will Mackay Stevens on row 14. So it will be Kenny Nail who shares that back row of the grid. On row 13, it's Dennis Kelly and Richard Jarosha, a long-time Radical customer. Row 12, we'll see Vaughan Clace, who was nearly the fastest in Pro 1340. He'll be alongside Dave Mason, the pole sitter in Pro 1340. The Canadian Brady Clapton having a fantastic season so far. James Long will start alongside him in 21st. And then it's Valen Venkatesh, one of the Californian competitors. Alongside him, Mike Anzaldi from Autobahn Country Club. Andy Lowe from England will start 18th on the grid. Scott Wagner will share row 9 with him in one of the Platinum Class cars. Look for Scott Wagner to come up through the field. Chris Hunn, a relative local from Primal Racing in Georgia, will share row 8 with Matt Roma, who we just heard from. Luke Kendall, another Primal Racing competitor out there this weekend, will be starting from 14th on the grid. And alongside him, number 13, it's Arul Venkatesh. On row 6, Austin Riley will be sharing that particular lineup with Ryan Persing. And Persing in the number 19 found plenty of speed in the 1500 class. In the qualifying session. Good to see him starting high. Jack Yang also starting fast in that class from 10th on the grid, alongside Chip Roma, who is another one to look out for in the Platinum class. Louis Schreiber didn't have full power in qualifying. What can he do from row 4 in the 111 machine in that Platinum class car? Spencer Schmidt will start alongside him in 7th in the 1500s. He was second fastest in that class, the pole sitter in 1500s. Raiden Nicole, he'll start from the 3rd row of the grid, and it's Ben Blander who'll start alongside him in 5th. On the 2nd row, Steve Jenks for Group A Racing will start from 4th. And in 3rd, it's David Album. Very, very impressive for him in qualifying. John Field will share the front row of the grid with Wayne Williams, our pole sitter and our fastest man in the Platinum class. The cars are side by side. The pace car is in pit lane. It's time to go racing in the Radical Cup North America Series here at Barber Motorsports Park. The cars are line astern and we're racing 3, 4, 5 wide as we head down into turn 1. So far so good. And there's a tag though, and chaos as Ben Blander spins round. And looks like a few others caught up in that. Chip Roma was certainly one in the Stella Artois car. But so far, others coming through. And someone smoking heavily. There's contact there, damage on the back of the 199 machine. So David Albin with some trouble there as well as they head down into the hairpin for the first time. Definitely a tyre rub. Hopefully it's just bodywork. But disaster for a couple of cars on the opening tour. And we've still got a car down in turn 1. And it looks to me like the safety car is getting a workout already. So let's pick up the action again from that first corner. As the full course caution comes out, hopefully we can get a little replay of what unraveled in turn 1. So here we go. You can see there lots of cars making lots of lanes, but as they come down into the corner, already a spin underway for Ben Blander and everyone else having to take evasive action. It looked like Chip Roma did a fantastic job of spinning around and actually not getting collected by anyone. One of the primal cars there, I think that was, might have been Chris Hunn that just tagged Ben Blander at the end. So there's a car just off to the right-hand side of the track, or the outside of the circuit, in the entry to turn 2. Other than that, it looks like everyone else is still running. Wayne Williams has converted his pole position in the Platinum class to the lead. John Field just behind him. Raider Nicol also came away unscathed. And it looks to me like the car with the issue was actually the 111 of Louis Schreiber. I can see Louis Schreiber's suit as Louis is standing in the infield, and he said he was going to go for broke this weekend, but that is absolute disaster for him on this opening lap.
Yeah, seeing a car also coming off of turn number 1 there, kind of up near where the safety vehicles are. He's up in the grass as well. So we'll keep an eye on that, but under caution here in the early goings. Matter of fact, didn't even get one full lap done before we went under caution, and that frequently happens when you talk about the beginning of the race like we do. You get too wide, and you got a lot of guys that are trying for real estate right off the bat. They sometimes can go into a hard corner like turn number 1 is and get a little bit of contact, or unfortunately in trying to avoid somebody else might find yourself a little bit out of shape. And that's what we've got here. It doesn't look like anything too major. Might have a couple of cars out of the race, and then maybe some damage, like you said, to one of the cars for a little bit of a tire rub.
It's one of those corners and one of those sort of concertina points, if you like, in the circuit. Everyone barreling down into turn 1. Obviously, everyone keen to make a good start. And unfortunately, it's just a case of too many cars going into not a lot of tarmac. And the undulation as well certainly doesn't help anything there. Drivers can feel a little bit unsettled as the weight transfer happens mid-corner. So, unfortunately, it just looked like Ben Blander in there a little bit hot. He was perhaps checking up because of the cars in front. So, doing what he needed to try and do. Chip Roma's in pit lane, so a little bit of an issue for him. David Albin was caught up in that. He is in the pits, but it was Louis Schreiber who has parked on the infield. So there's a number of cars, Platinum class cars, that have been caught up in that. In fact, 4 cars at least. So now that really means that behind the safety car, we have got Wayne Williams, John Field, both in the Platinum class. Then it's Rayden Nicole, who leads Pro 1500. Steve Jenks is fourth on the racetrack. And then we have a gaggle of Pro 1500s from Spencer Schmidt, Matt Roma, Arul Venkatesh, Ryan Persing, Jack Yang, Austin Riley, Mike Anzaldi. All of those drivers are going to be vying for the podium positions in Pro 1500. That'll be a great battle to watch from car number 99 back. In the Pro 1340 class, Brady Clapham, the Canadian, has converted his pole position into an early race lead, surviving all of that chaos in turn one and coming through to be just ahead of Vaughan Clace. So we're looking out for that battle. Vaughan has been particularly strong this weekend in his debut in the series. And the green on the rear wing of the cars signify Pro 1340. Red on the rear wing signify Pro 1500. And, of course, the yellow on the 430 brake horsepower torque monsters that are the Radical SR10s. So the good news is at least a couple of these cars are in relatively safe positions. The Honda Racing for Children safety car is out on track still, though. And a lot of drivers anxious to get back underway. There's 34 minutes on the clock.
A lot of people don't understand that a lot of these races here are timed as well as going for laps. So you're pretty rigidly timed considering how many different series that we have here this weekend that are racing.
Yeah, time certain schedule. We run to a maximum of 40 minutes for the race window. Pretty long race, obviously, long duration. Of course, the safety car eats into that. I guess if you're in the lead, safety car's a nice feeling because you can just calm down, think about what you did, what you need to do. You know, really check out the track, hit your marks, just understand if anything's changed from the previous sessions, where there's any debris, etc. Obviously, if you're not sitting in front, safety cars are the worst thing in the world for a racing driver because you just want to get back underway and obviously try and advance forward. And, you can see as the cars streak down behind the safety car towards the museum corner that some of them are pretty keen to get back underway. Just trying to check that safety car because it looks like the light's still on or off. We can see perhaps the back of it in a moment. Looks like the lights are still on because there's still a car in turn two that we're just trying to extract. Obviously, if one car's got out there, it's a case of another car could. So we can just see there that the safety crews are just working. That car was just rolling a little bit. So hopefully only one more lap under the safety car.
Yeah, they've just pulled a flatbed over there just to make sure that they're going to be able to pull that car off and get it out of the way. And then we mentioned the driver that's over here coming down toward Charlotte's Web here, parked the car, and it's out of the way. He's got himself an interesting spot for watching the rest of the race.
Yeah, poor old Louis Schreiber. You can see hands in the lap, head hung low. This is not a fun moment. You might have the best seat in the house, but certainly that's not what you want. You want to be obviously strapped in into the car and vying for position. And Louis had a pretty good qualifying, given that he actually wasn't running on full power. The SR10s have a number of engine modes, and he actually didn't realize that the car was not in the highest mode. Very impressive qualifying performance. Obviously kept the minimum rolling speed up around the corners, and I was excited to see what would happen. He's waving to us in the commentary booth at the moment.
We appreciate it, and we appreciate him for all of his efforts. Sorry that it ended so early for him on this day. Great day for racing here at Barber. We might maybe get some weather a little bit later on this afternoon. We're certainly not worried about that at this moment here as we get ready. Again, they are hooking up that car over, coming off of turn number 2, trying to get it cleared up and out of the way, because the last thing we want is to have any kind of a safety situation where another car might have a spin and have that car being in the way. We want it as clear as we can possibly make it.
Now, this is interesting championship-wise. So at Sebring, and we heard just before qualifying this morning a little bit of a weekend wrap-up, it was Mackay Stevens who took a couple of wins. He was effectively a guest driver in the championship. He won't be completing the full season. It was his teammate, though, from Team Stradale, Ben Blander, who also had a successful Sebring and came out second in the points. Wayne Williams was third, and Wayne perhaps missed a couple of opportunities, but it just seems he has the pace this weekend. Fantastic result in qualifying. Really, really impressive to beat the likes of John Field, who's a twice champion in this class. And so really, really strong that that Wayne has come out on top in qualifying. And so far, that 57 remains in front. Now, the other big standout, I guess, from Sebring was Raiden Nicol in Pro 1500. The young gun, the rookie. For those that were here this time last year, Raiden was vying for each win in each of the 3 races here at Barber Motorsports Park. Didn't manage to convert those opportunities into the race win. Had a couple little issues, a couple little skirmishes and things like that. And so this year he's decided to commit himself to the full championship. Off to a great start. 3 wins from 3 races at Sebring. A huge comeback drive in race 3 after having an issue early on. Impressive stuff to take the race win. And now he is in the box seat again to convert, hopefully, his 4th win from 4 starts. Very impressive young man. That's the 93 machine of Raiden Nicol. Some good other stories in this field. Sam Schmidt's son racing out there, Spencer Schmidt. And the number 99 features some new livery this weekend, a new sponsor for the season. And Spencer's running for Graham Rahal Performance. Of course, Graham will be running in the IndyCar race, and he has a Radical dealership up in Indianapolis and has been supporting a lot of youngsters as they rise through the ranks and using Radical as an alternative pathway to doing so. Now, the full course caution flags have been withdrawn, so it looks like we're going to go back racing this time by. There's a couple of stragglers just catching up to the back of the field. That car is out the way. So right now, we need to turn our attention back to the front of the pack because there we are. The safety car is coming around, leading Wayne Williams. The engine revs will rise once again. Over 10,000 RPM from the 1500s and 1340 machines. They are normally aspirated motorcycle engine-derived cars. Fantastic little power plants that Radical produce in-house in the UK. And we're back under green in the Radical Cup North America Series here at Barber Motorsports Park. Wayne Williams streaks ahead as it looks like we've had a position change there, or certainly some defending. And that was Matt Roma with Arul Venkatesh having a look down the inside. It wasn't to be as Chip Roma flies past some of the 1500s as he tries to claw his way back up to that turn 1, lap 1 chaos. So looking to make a move. That's Jack Yang down to the inside in the white car on Persing, and he makes it stick. So fantastic stuff from the Chinese driver racing for a British team here in the US. Valor Racing making a move. Jack Yang takes a victim as they head along down the straightaway into that chicane near the museum. And Jack Yang's looking pretty racy, it must be said. His next victim would be Arul Venkatesh in what can be described as a Lotus homage liveried car. Looks like one of the fantastic Ayrton Senna Lotuses with the black and gold livery. So Ryan Persing also in that, and someone's run wide. That's Mike Ansaldi, who's found the dirt in a very hairy spot around this circuit, up over the bridge and over that crest. Not where you want to be, out in the grass. So down the straightaway again, there's a bigger battle. And Persing now tries to go to the inside of Jack Yang as they head down through turn 1. Fantastic racing from the Pro 1500 drivers. Side by side again through 2 and 3. Another difficult part of this racetrack, up over the crest. The car gets a little light as they head down into the hairpin. On the inside, that stunning Dayglow car of Ryan Persing, the young gun, following in his brother's footsteps. He makes the move stick on Jack Yang, but Jack Yang's now to the inside as they come back down the straightaway. And it looks to me like Venkatesh is having a look in there as well. So Yang does get past Persing. And that battle going on strong.
Side-by-side battle here as we are just in the early going. You can see the clock running at 25 minutes. It's a consideration of whether we're going to get laps in or whether we're going to get timed out. But right now, things are looking good. But you were talking about it, getting very, very racy here as they're coming around, coming off of right down near pit road.
Yeah, speaking of racy, that's for the race lead in the Platinum class. John Field having a big look to the inside of Wayne Williams, and he's just having a little look as they go down through turn one. But in the penultimate corner there, he had a fantastic run, taking a different line to Wayne Williams, and again he's hugging the inside around turn two. He's got the 37 machine all hooked up, and coming into the fray is Raider Nicole, who's running in the Pro 1500 class. So we said in qualifying we could easily see a Pro 1500 car taking the outright win here. This track a little unique. It doesn't allow the power of the Platinum class SR10 machines to really get a good stretch of the legs down the long straightaways of somewhere like Road America. And because they're jostling out in front, Raider Nicole's able to close in. That battle too is still raging further back in Pro 1500. It's fantastic stuff between Arul Venkatesh, Jack Yang and Ryan Persing. And Yang just looks like he's just ahead of it. We'll see them come out of the museum. There they are, that pack of cars. You can see the black car. So Arul's made it to the front. And that's amazing stuff from Arul Venkatesh, who's now ahead of Jack Yang and Ryan Persing.
But they're still battling side by side as they go down the backstretch, start heading out and getting around, and they'll eventually come up here as we start to see on the screens here. They're working on those turns coming up by the entrance to pit road, and then they'll come down that front stretch. It's amazing how they are so side by side when you think about the differences in kind of the classes of cars.
Yeah, and speaking of side by side, Anzaldi goes through to the inside around the final corner. So Mike Anzaldi in the Williams homage car, the 61 machine, takes a spot away from, that's Arul's brother, young Valen Venkatesh. So we mentioned father and son. There's a couple of brothers out there as well, and a brother following in his older brother's footsteps. And the number 19, the famous Steve Cameron racing number, has a look to the inside again. Ryan Persing really doing a solid job. He's come alive today after a big sleep. It was tough for these drivers yesterday. 4 40-minute sessions of practice with hardly any time in between them to take a rest, to think about what you're doing out on the racetrack. And a lot of these drivers really finding some speed overnight as they've put it all together in qualifying and now in race one.
Set up on these cars very much from one to the next, or how much does weather tend to affect it? Like, you got sunshine now for the most part. How much is that affecting these cars?
Look, the biggest thing on a weekend like this is actually the different tyre compounds that are out there on the circuit. The Radical Cup uses hand-cooked tyres, how that interacts with the Firestone rubber as that comes in, particularly as the Indy cars get on circuit, but also Indy Next. So there's a lot of evolution in the IndyCar tracks as the weekend progresses. The Radical has a very wide setup window, so a lot of people can really use a similar setup from track to track, typically not changing springs, but certainly front and rear sway bars is something you'd look at, particularly at a place like Barber Motorsports Park, where you've got these long radius corners. You're trying to mitigate the front tyres scrubbing or pushing across the racetrack. And then, yeah, look, it's just a case of, obviously, if we get a downpour, there'll be big setup changes, bars coming off, potentially even different springs going on the cars. Obviously, a lot more wing going in as well. So there's our leaders in the Platinum class. Wayne Williams surviving the pressure of John Field with Raider Nicole, the leader in Pro 1500, just behind. Now, it looks to me like there's Steve Jenks has started to claw his way back through, if you like. He's sitting behind Ray Nichols. Then it's this Spencer Schmidt, Matt Roma, Arul Venkatesh, and that fantastic battle of Ryan Persing, Jack Yang. Austin Riley's in the thick of that too. Chip Romer's carving his way up through that pack. And so Chip Romer was just coming into screen. Side by side again, they go. What fantastic racing between the Cameron race. That was Mike Anzaldi, who he was looking to the inside of. And the carousel provides great racing because whilst you can rocket down the inside, the person on the outside of the circuit actually gets great traction around that centre carousel, and then, of course, has the inside line into the next set of complexes near the museum, that fantastic downhill chicane.
Two best places, talking about trying to make a pass, probably going into turn one right there, and right down here into Charlotte's Web in this hairpin.
Absolutely. This racetrack really does provide a good back and throw in terms of a tussle out there, and we've seen that from these drivers in the Pro 1500 class. Look at this second pack now that's forming. And the number 4 of Andy Lowe knows Radical Racing well. It's just ahead of Mike Anzaldi. And then it's Valen Venkatesh. Looks like the front runners in Pro 1340 are also in the mix of that. It's Brady Clapham, who's still got Vaughan Clace just behind him. And Vaughan Clace getting relatively close to Brady Clapham. So that Pro 1340 battle certainly not over either. And they're just on the back of the train of this second pack of Pro 1500s. There they go. So that was your leaders. The white, orange and blue car of the Ryspec Racing team out of Canada. Long-time runners in this series and in Canadian Radical Racing. Of course, Radical, one of the only manufacturers to have multiple race series on multiple continents and about 14 championships around the world. Not only the big national series, but also the Radical Cup Challenges that take place at country club racetracks and regional areas as well. And that was another position change in Pro 1500. So it appears to me that Ryan Persing's just found his feet. He's found his momentum. Meanwhile, Andy Lowe now under lots of pressure, and you can see how much Mike Anzaldi really attacks the number 4 of Andy Lowe from JBR Racing. Every time into turn 1, he seems to give up a little bit. Behind Anzaldi, it's Luke Kendall having a fantastic run. Chris Hunt as well, and Valen Venkatesh has dropped back just a little bit. Then it's the battle for Pro 1340 as they head down into Charlotte's Web. The Rice-Bet car just ahead of the rookie, Vaughan Clace. What a great job he's done this weekend. Set for a podium in his opening performance. He switches back, though, with James Long. So, up at the pointy end of the field, it's still Wayne Williams commanding this motor race from John Field. That's the top 2 in the Platinum class. Then it's back to Rayden Nicole, your leader in Pro 1500. Steve Jenks sits 4th on the racetrack, 3rd in class. And then it's the final place getters of Pro 1500 in Spencer Schmidt and Matt Roma as they stand. Just picking up the leaders there. So there's Wayne Williams using all sorts of curb, as does John Field, as they head through the chicane and down onto the museum corner. This high-speed section just pulling gears in these radicals flat out, as you can see the front end of the SR10 just starting to skate across the racetrack as they push the absolute limit of these machines around these fast-flowing corners of Barber Motorsports Park. Wayne Williams well in command, and John Field doing a good job of at least containing the deficit in the slightly older SR10 machine. It's no doubt the new XXR models are faster. John Field confirming that after practice yesterday. So his next opportunity, John Field's that is, will be the back markers that these guys are just starting to catch. 13 minutes remain on the clock. There's still plenty of racing. It feels like after a slow start with that safety car period, almost thought the safety car was taking forever. And we've had some great racing so far as Wayne Williams eclipses that back marker with ease. And now that might be a problem for John Field as he gets on the power down the straightaway in the center of the circuit.
And you were talking about this, and you've mentioned several different classes here. I kind of want to get some people who may not be all that familiar with Radical Cup to understand what are the different classes and what's the major differences between them.
The engines really, so all of the chassis are pretty similar. The SR10 features the highest horsepower engine, 430 brake horsepower, very sophisticated Hewland gearbox, a Formula 2 gearbox on the back of that engine. And that car weighs a little more, as you might expect from having a Ford EcoBoost engine in the back of it, but produces plenty of horsepower and 380 foot-pound of torque. That's the Platinum class cars that we're talking about, those SR10 machines, the torque monsters, as Jim Booth, the owner of JBR Racing, once coined them. And then we're in the Pro 1500 class. That is a class for young guns making their mark in the sport, using the Radical Cup Series as an alternative ladder opportunity, if you will, to something like the Road to Indy or the former Road to Indy in USF. Our reigning champion, Jordan Missig, has come out of Pro 1500 and is now in Indy Next, so we'll be cheering him on later this weekend. But the Pro 1500s feature a similar chassis, different aero. You'll notice that the Pro 1500s don't have the big nostrils in the front of the cars for the extra cooling that the turbo engines require. But they have a normally aspirated motorcycle-derived power plant, a 1500cc engine, hence the name, using that SR3 chassis. And then the Pro 1340s, same car, SR3 chassis, but a 1340cc derived engine. So both of those cars, very much a momentum car, as opposed to the SR10, which it's all about managing the horsepower, managing the turbo. Although, as Catherine Legg mentioned a couple of months ago, after driving one of the SR10s, she said that the turbo lag on the SR10 is the least she's ever experienced in all of the high horsepower machinery, GT, IndyCar, etc., that she's ever been in. So that was a nice compliment.
So as we've gone around, we have had the one caution period where we had it right off of lap number 1. That took us a few laps before we got everything cleaned up. Now we've been going very, very well. We see a number of drivers that are starting to go a lap down, but you still got the top 22 that are on the lead lap.
Well, and we'd seem to be getting into this bit of a lull where the leaders had started to sort of just settle down. But I did happen to just notice, while you were mentioning that, an amazing moment for Vaughan Glace. He has gone into the lead of Pro 1340, so he just got around Brady Clapham and is in the lead in his rookie race, his first race here in the Radical Cup Championship. So fantastic stuff. You can see him just coming through screen, the white car just ahead of that white, blue, and an orange car as they come down the front straightaway. That is the leader of Pro 1340 in the white number 15 machine. And now he's getting some traffic of the 1500s, and this will be tricky stuff. They're just having to navigate some of the slower cars. The back markers around this long right-hander as they head up over the hill. Always potential for drama.
Looks like they came out of that pretty clear, though. We had one driver that was kind of on the inside and made all the drivers go to the outside of that particular curve, but they were able to make it stick.
And that was last year. Raiden Nicole navigating similar traffic in that same spot. Actually had a moment, and that caused him the race win last year. So you've got to be very, very careful. As Scott Wagner trundles through pit lane, the number 8 machine, obviously with an issue, but just trying to get out there. It's important to keep circulating because you've got to put in a fast lap. The fastest lap of this race is going to set the grid for race 2. So you can't just cruise around in the lead. You've got to think about your lap times as well. And the teams will be notifying their drivers, letting them know how they're getting on with the effective qualifying that's going on in this race for the second race of the day. So Wayne Williams is still ahead of John Field. Would you believe Raiden Nicole now second on the racetrack? So our leader in Pro 1500 has got past every Platinum Class car except for one. Sterling stuff from young Raiden Nicole. Wayne Williams comes around that long right-hander and into the final corner here. 8 minutes on the clock. Wayne Williams, the sprint car star, the dirt star, turned tarmac warrior, is doing it easy in the number 57 machine for One Motorsports. The Canadian who resides in Texas loves traveling across this great nation, racing his Radical. It's always a good time is Wayne Williams and family in the motorhome. And just loves his motorsport. He seemed to have, I don't know, run over a black cat, walked under a ladder, all of the above last year. Just a few little dramas here and there. Issues for Wayne Williams kept him really off the podium a number of times. Had a great run in Toronto, on the streets of Toronto in his hometown. But he just seems to have come alive this year. Found the pace with the new team. Everything going smooth so far for Wayne Williams in race 1 at Barber Motorsports Park.
But as you noted, can't get off the pace because he doesn't want to lose out on this. We're setting things up for the race a little bit later on, so he doesn't want to lose pace. And he may be 5 seconds ahead at this point in time of Raiden Nicole, but he doesn't want to give Raiden Nicole any reason for hope.
That's right. And even though it's not, they're different classes, but at the end of the day, you want the bragging rights. And just look to me like Wayne Williams, just want to pick that up. Perhaps I'm confusing a couple of cars here, but it looked like to me that he'd slowed down. So is that drama for Wayne Williams? Just looking to see what happens here. Yeah, Wayne Williams. So just as I said, everything was going smooth. The running over of the black cat and walking under the ladder, something has occurred with the 57 machine. Raiden Nicole is now in the lead of this race. John Field is in the lead of Platinum. Wayne Williams is third in class. So the leader outright is just going through Charlotte's Web now. That's that black and gold Primal Racing number 93 machine, the Pro 1500 car of young Raiden Nicole. John Field sits 2 cars back. And Wayne Williams now, as we've just had an update on the clock, so it's 5 minutes 40 remaining. That seems more right to me, because I was thinking this race was going on forever. So I don't know why he's having a little glitch with the clock there, but nevertheless, 5 minutes 25 to go. What can Wayne Williams do? The best time he did was a 1:23.4, and that was faster than John Field, but drama for the 57. My God, I really don't know what Wayne Williams is paying for in a past life, because he just seems to have a little bit of an issue. Did he turn it off or something? Was there a fuel pressure trip or something happened? The 57 seems to be going fast again, and you can see the gap there. John Field just going through turn 2 and up over the crest. There's our leader overall, Ray Nicol. There's John Field, leader in the Platinum class. Then we've got a back marker, and then we have got the Dayglow yellow car of Wayne Williams, the 57. Trying to make amends for whatever issue, glitch, etc. that was. Right, so looking back a little bit further, Spencer Schmidt sits second in the Pro 1500 class from Matt Roma. Ryan Persing still holding down 4th place as Jack Yang and Arul Venkatesh have battled it out. Jack Yang is looking a little bit racy still, though, with Ryan Persing, as they just went through Charlotte's Web.
Those two have been pretty much hooked up together most of this, if not all, race.
And then Mike Anzaldi is trying to claw his way back onto the number 20 machine of Austin Riley. Out there, that's for 7th and 8th in the Pro 1500 class. As Raider Nicol starts another lap. There's 3 minutes 30 remaining on the clock. 3 more tours, perhaps. And Vaughan Clace, in his debut race, leads Pro 1340 from Brady Clapham. Kenny Nails sits 3rd in that. And that's Ennis, who rounds out the top 4. Dermot Ennis, another great competitor over the years in all sorts of racing, SCCA, good family race team, and coming out and joining the Radical Cup Championship for a big campaign this year to tick off all the bucket list tracks. Of course, we've been to Sebring, Barber this weekend, and there's a yellow flag that's flying out there. So Brady Clapham's just entering a yellow sector. And the green flag, so I can't quite see where we've lost a car, but certainly perhaps a spin. No, it's Chip Roma in the Stella Artois car who's had a moment. Where is that?
That's going to be right almost straight across from us, and the people over in the fan zone have got a real good look at that car.
Yeah, so the Stella Artois car, an issue for him. And I guess Chip Roma can take a early trip to the pub, because he looks like he's out of this one with 2 minutes on the clock remaining. John Field, Wayne Williams, how's that battle going? Field comes through down into Charlotte's Web. Just ahead in that gold and black car. Our race leader, outright race leader, Raider Nicol, doing an amazing job. Wayne Williams is not going to get this race win. I feel so sorry for the 57. It was a cracking drive, a sterling performance in qualifying. Put it on the pole. Chip Roma is back going. So it's interesting. A couple of the SR10s having a couple of little glitches here. Don't know whether it's operator error or something amiss. But in any event, we've seen a couple of front runners have an issue. The white flag is just out for that slow-moving Chip Roma. Meanwhile, the battle still rages back in the pack, and down into turn 1, there's a great battle between Andy Lowe and Chris Hunn. So Mike Anzaldi has managed to clear the Englishman. The Englishman now under all sorts of pressure. And Chris Hunn in the 53 So the white flag is out now. So 2 more laps. And we've got another slow-moving car. So out of Charlotte's Web and just heading up. There's a car pulling off. I believe that's one of the Primal Racing cars. And you can just see him at the top of the screen there, just in front of the museum. There's a car that's just stopped to track right on the exit. It's a long way from the exit, mind you. So we might get lucky with that one. The white flag is out. And where are our race leaders? There's a fantastic battle still raging with Andy Lowe around the backside of the circuit. If you're up near the second to last corner, check out for a couple of cars, 2 or 3 wide. So, down through the high-speed stuff, he's gone for the final time. Primal Racing's Raider Nicole, he's coming around the second to last corner now, has a moment, does Raider Nicole, pushing hard on his final tour here for race 1. He'll take not only the win in Pro 1500, but Raider Nicole zigs and zags as he crosses the line. And it's the green flag is out. So the green flag has been displayed, but the checkered flag it should be flying. It's checkered flags out, and Raider Nicole has won here. And taking the win in the Platinum class, John Field from Steve Jenks. What a performance from Group A Racing. Steve Jenks in the 68 picks up second in class. Wayne Williams, disaster for him. Relegated to third, and I still don't think he's come around. So Spencer Schmidt has second in Pro 1500 from Matt Roma. Great result for him. Ryan Persing fending off the likes of Jack Yang, Arul Venkatesh, Austin Riley to take fourth in class. And then we're waiting to see what happens a bit further back. There is limping home the 57 of Wayne Williams. He will not be happy. So Mike Kentaudi's next past the post, Valen Venkatesh. Then it's Andy Lowe. And they stretched out after that final lap battle. Andy Lowe getting eclipsed by Valen Venkatesh. Luke Kendall in the thick of that battle too. That was great racing down to 14th overall. And picking up the win in his debut drive, Vaughn Clace for proper performance. What a great result for him in Pro 1340. There's our unofficial results now. So Raider Nicole in the 1500 class, 1500 cc's, beating out 2.3 litres and turbo power of John Field. Great result for the number 93 driver. John Field taking the win. Another great result for him in Platinum class. Steve Jenks second in Platinum. Spencer Schmidt second in Pro 1500. Matt Roma third in Pro 1500. And it's Wayne Williams back in 8th who takes third in the Platinum class. We'll move on to our next slide, and we'll see that in 15th position, the number 18 of Vaughn Clace as our winner in Pro 1340. It was Brady Clapham in 18th outright who was second in the Pro 1340 class, and Kenny Nail on the third step of the podium in that class as well. I have to catch my breath and confirm the gold class winner. That was Jack Yang, finishing 5th in class, 7th on the racetrack, and 1st in the gold class for the over 30 drivers in Pro 1500. Well, that was race 1, action-packed from the start.
And the story, Wayne Williams, really, because he was able to kind of rabbit out in the front, and then somehow, some way, that car seemed to lose power.
Yeah, interested to catch up with him. I'm sure that won't be a fun conversation on the podium. But we'll go down now and celebrate the victors in the Radical Cup North America Series. It's been fun calling that one. Of course, the series back later this afternoon for another race, and then tomorrow afternoon for race 3 featuring a mandatory pit stop.
All right. Very good. We're looking forward to seeing more from Radical Cup North America here as only race number 1 done right here. We'll get to see them a little bit later on right here at Barber. As the action continues, we will get back to on-track action very, very shortly.
If Imperial Supplies, official partner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the NTT Indy Car.